Welcome to Deeply Disturbing Things.
The podcast.
I'm Macy.
And I'm Naomi.
And we are two anxious counselors who like to talk about deeply disturbing things.
Skull.
Happy birthday month.
Happy birthday month.
Mm-hmm.
May's the best month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is true. Some of the best people I know are born in May.
Like moi.
Like moi. And moi. And a few other great mois.
Like moo.
Oh, meow. What about moo?
Moi.
If you'd like to see what we gift gave each other, go be a patron for
It's only $1. Totally worth it.
Worth our birthdays.
I can guarantee you will get $1 worth. That I can guarantee.
Yes. $1 a month, right? So that's
$1 a month.
I mean,
and you get more than one fantastic exclusive content.
3 to 4.
Typically 3 to 4.
Right. That's a quarter.
I know.
You're paying a quarter for our goodies.
For exclusive content, like the video of this episode with informational photos to illustrate what we're talking about.
You're so proud of that.
So freaking proud. I'm basically a movie producer.
You are.
Like,
I remember when I discovered it on
J.J.
Adobe.
Abrams.
Right.
You know.
And then I spent 3 hours on one and then I was over it. I think this is too much.
No, it doesn't take that long.
It does when you do it stupidly like I did.
Okay, this is a topical topic.
All right, I'm ready for your topical topic.
I'm going to talk about the United Kingdom infected blood scandal. You may have seen headlines.
Can I pause?
Yeah.
We sure awesome shoes. We didn't.
Oh,
we both. This is not coordinated. We both have like some awesome shoes on.
Mine are red velvet.
Mine are whatever neon bands.
Checkerboard.
Yeah, thank you. Whatever design that is.
It's checkerboard.
Checkerboard. Little boxes with other boxes.
I had some blue checkerboards in 6th grade.
Mm.
They were like my fave.
Technically, yeah, there's probably those shoes. Just different color. All right, so topical.
This UK infected blood scandal is being called the worst treatment disaster in the history of the National Health Services, or NHS.
Right now, this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Well, it's just coming to light.
Okay.
So what happened during this infected blood scandal is more than 30,000 people in the United Kingdom were infected with HIV and hepatitis C after being given contaminated blood products in the 1970s and 1980s.
Oh, which we did know that was a thing with like blood transfusions and
not at first.
Well, yeah, not at first.
So a public inquiry, I love how they call things in the UK. It's just so much better.
A public inquiry.
Like we would call it like something boring, like an investigation.
Well, which makes it feel like wrong to do, but like I think the public have a right to make an inquiry.
A public inquiry is
an investigation makes it sound like a power and authority struggle, and this is about the people. So, fuck off.
It's about the people. So this public inquiry has described the scale of the infected blood scandal as horrifying and accused doctors, the government, and the NHS of repeatedly failing patients.
The National Health Services.
And I will later go into a list of the failings. The First Minister described it as a tragedy that should never have happened and must never happen again. So that means it was preventable.
Not okay.
We might even go so far as to say intentional.
Wow.
In some areas. So what caused this infected blood scandal, you might ask? That's your cue to ask.
Gosh. What is causing this blood scandal? I have a public inquiry I'd like to make now.
Well, let me tell you.
Great. That huckleberry chocolate is the best thing I've ever put in my mouth. I split it in half so we could share.
Did you notice I got you variety?
I did.
Because you could decide which one you like the best. And then if you go to add a case, you can get like just that kind.
That's great. And I split it in half with my hand, not my mouth, so you can partake.
Okay.
Promise.
When I have a talking pause,
Right.
I will stuff that chocolate right in my mouth.
Yeah, it's delicious and worth the wait. It's soft.
So
Lovely.
two main groups of patients were affected. The first were individuals with hemophilia. So hemophilia is a blood clotting disorder. And so hemophilics have a shortage of a clotting factor, either factor 8 or factor 9, depending on
Do
the
you
type.
have something like that?
I do, I'm gonna get into that in a
Oh,
minute.
sorry.
But good memory.
Mm.
In the 1970s,
Talk about it all the time. I don't know why it's not that good of a memory.
there was a new treatment that came up, and it was using donated human blood plasma to was developed to replace the clotting agents.
Hmm.
So you could get IVs of
Right.
the clotting factors.
Which gave more options, basically. Right.
So they made this by pooling, well, instead of just bleeding to death.
Right.
That
More
was-
options.
that was option A, option B.
Right.
The treatment was produced by pulling human blood plasma from up to 40,000 donors. So they mixed all this donated plasma and concentrated it and then extracted the requiring clotting factor. So just having one of those 40,000 donors be infected with HIV or Hep C would contaminate the entire batch.
Wow.
So here's my personal connection, as you just talked about.
As I
So
rudely,
interjected.
yes.
So when I was younger, I've kind of outgrown it. But I had von Willebrand's disease, which is another, it's like hemophilia, but it's
didn't know that.
another bleeding disorder.
Mhm.
So I also have a factor 8 deficiency. And so when I would have medical treatments, I would go ahead of time and get an IV of factor 8. And I actually got IVs in the period of time when there was still the risk of getting HIV.
Right, and I think that's
So I
something.
narrowly escaped. Like I could have gotten it. It's just by chance I didn't.
That's what I say. I think nowadays, like from what I hear, I haven't had any like major surgeries, because I knock on wood every time, just saying, and so it works. So I hear people say though, like they don't say that. They're not, I don't hear people concerned about it now, like it's a formy sign that there's risk, but it's not like a.
Well, I didn't sign any form. It just wasn't really known enough, you know?
But like nowadays,
Nowadays, well, actually I have a bonus topic at the end,
I can't wait.
which I'm going to talk about some nowadays shit.
Great.
But I got, when my wisdom teeth were pulled when I was 15, that was 1986. That was still like right in the shit of the AIDS crisis, AIDS epidemic. Like I got IVs of blood plasma. I got one before that.
I
I
just
can't
saw
remember
your
what
inhale
age.
tacos, exhale piece, and
that?
I was distracted for a moment, admittedly. Sorry. Inhale tacos, exhale piece. That is fantastic.
I like to have stuff in here so my clients don't have to just look at me.
No, that's the
You gotta
best
have
thing.
shit to look
That's
at.
why in telehealth, you do not want just their face right there. Give them a freaking window to look out, like something.
Something to look at.
Yeah, picture, I don't know, my dismal.
Yeah. So in 1987,
So this is
after I'd already got a
year before I
couple,
was born.
after I already got a couple treatments, that's when virus killing techniques were introduced to increase product safety.
Okay.
So I didn't have any like consent. I don't remember anybody saying like, oh, there's a risk of this or that. It was just like, hey, you're gonna do this thing or you'll bleed to death during the surgery.
Great.
All right, so back to the UK. We're talking about 1970s, whole batches of treatment were contaminated with deadly viruses. So for this first group here, after being given the infected treatment, about 1,250 people in the UK with bleeding disorders developed both HIV and hepatitis C. Like that, I mean, one or the other sucks, but both together. And that included 380 small children. About 2/3 of these people died of AIDS-related illnesses, which is a brutal, brutal death.
I gotta say it's painful, slow.
And so some unintentionally passed on HIV to their partners because they didn't know they were infected. Another 2,400 to 5,000 of this group developed hepatitis C only, which can cause cirrhosis and liver cancer. I mean, that's no walk in the park either. Also
No,
horrible ways to die.
very bad.
So then there's this second group of people that were impacted, and they were given contaminated blood transfusions after childbirth, surgery, or other medical treatments. And that occurred for a 21 years.
I mean, it could have been, I was an 88 baby. It could have happened.
Could have happened.
Could have.
1970 and 1991, people were given contaminated blood transfusions.
1991.
Yeah, so for 21-year span, this occurred. This is in the UK.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's my husband's birth year.
The inquiry estimates between 80 and 100 of these people were infected with HIV, and about 27,000 with hepatitis C. That is a lot of people. So we're talking about almost 30,000 people
Well, and
affected with hepatitis
you're gonna
C.
tell me more, so I'll just sit on that.
Well, no, what's your question? Maybe I won't.
I mean, well, you
I'll
probably
tell you
will.
if I'm gonna get to it.
Okay. Why?
Oh, yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay, great.
In total, it's thought about 3,000 people have died. So about 30,000 infected overall, about 30,000 have died of this group, the second group. So the inquiry was announced in 2017. So that was what, 7 years ago?
2017. Yeah.
So 7 years ago. And the Hemophilia Society believes.
Can they just pick a different word though? I mean, honestly, I'm having a hard time with it.
With what word? Hemophilia?
Yeah.
That's the name of it.
Yeah. We should just like mix it up.
Well, that's what it's called. I think we have to call it the name everybody understands, or else there's gonna be
I had no
confusion.
idea what it was.
You've never heard of hemophilia?
I mean, like I've heard the word, but I would not, and I know about like how you've explained like the where you may bleed if you're like get bruised more easily, that sort of thing, and
Yeah, well, your blood doesn't clot also.
Right, the blood
You just
doesn't
bleed
clot.
out.
Right. I've never put those two things together as the same thing.
Well, now you know.
The more you know.
Pretty sure most people know what
I
hemophilia
mean,
is,
I don't
to
want to
be
make
honest.
assumptions about the common knowledge, but
TBH, I'm
most
pretty sure.
know more.
Okay, you tell us. Do you know what hemophilia is before I explain it? Did you know?
And if you have that, you don't count. I
Well,
mean,
no,
not
you
like
do
as a
count.
person, you do count. You
I
do
think
count.
I think they count.
I mean, they count, but they already know what it is because they've been told.
Okay, so you can't chime in if you have it. But what about if you like know
Because like
somebody
you're
that
saying, you're very confident in saying that everyone knows it, but like you know it because you've had.
Well, I think
correspondence with it.
hemophilia is a hell of a lot more well known than von Willebrand's disease.
I don't know that either.
That's what I have.
Okay, yeah, I don't know that either.
But hemophilia is a lot more well known.
Okay, it sounds like pedophilia.
Like
It sounds like all the philias. Like, can we get it out of the philias?
No, because
Why?
Because it means disorder.
But can
That's
we?
literally what philia means.
Okay, but can we like?
Why are you trying to stigmatize hemophilia?
I'm not. It's it's just I'm not
Well, it sounds like you
stigmatizing it.
are. You just said it was akin to
I
pedophilia.
don't. No, I said the word itself. I'm saying their diagnostic labeling is misleading.
Well, I'm not offended by the word. Maybe others are.
I'm not offended.
I'm just one person.
I just think they could do better.
Sounds like you're offended. You didn't even want me to call it that.
I mean, you can.
I'm going to. Until I'm told a different word. Because I'm not having any emotional reaction to it, negative or positive.
And you're I mean, that would
It's
would be what would matter.
completely
Neutral?
neutral, yes. Or mid, as the kids are saying today.
Wait, what?
Mid. It's very mid.
Mid? Oh, that's good to know. What was
It's
the one
such a
that I
put
learned?
down.
What was the one that I learned?
If somebody calls you mid, it's a put down, just so you know.
I learned, which is probably pretty old now too, but bet. Like, instead of like, okay, it's like bet.
Yeah, which is short of I bet.
Not I bet, but like got it.
No,
Or like,
it's-
yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah, it's a
for
takeoff
sure.
of all that, because that's what people say, oh, I bet.
I bet.
It's a shortened version, because nobody has time for a whole 2 words
Bet.
anymore, even if each word only
Like
has
bet
one
on
syllable.
that. Bet on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not that cool. I can't.
I'm so hella cool.
It's so
The room
not.
can't
It's
even
been so
contain my coolness.
it's been so long since I worked in the high school. I swear I would be lost. Like the same way when I first went in there and I'm like, what is this world? I thought I knew it. You don't.
No, you don't.
No.
And if you think you're like
No, it's
a
it.
cool insider,
No,
you're
no,
so
no, no.
not.
It's like every year rotation and they tell you what they want you to know.
So listen to this. This is very disturbing. So since
Yes.
the public inquiry was announced in 2017, the Hemophilia Society believes 650 people have died. Like, that's crazy.
And this is all from one.
No, it's not one incident. It was during the 1970s and 80s.
But like 2 years, you said.
No,
That they called
1970s
out.
and 80s.
Oh, okay. What happened in
2 decades.
1991 and then
That was the end of the span where people were given contaminated blood transfusions
I think
after
the
childbirth,
transfusion part.
surgery, or other medical
That's
treatment,
helpful. Thank you.
not just for hemophilia
Right.
treatment. So
Necrophilia. I don't know. Like,
you're just bringing up bad philias.
What
Let's
other-
bring up some good philias.
I'm trying to think of one.
There's probably a ton
Tell
of
me. Did
really,
you say there's probably a ton and you can't
really
recall?
fun
I'm
philias.
gonna look it up. Keep going.
I mean, the problem is philia means disorder.
I know.
so-
Well, you just
or
said
like
the
a bad
thing,
thing.
so
Like it's, I mean, this is a medical model we're talking about where everything is based on
on
pathology.
a problem
Yeah. it's a
versus
deficit model.
maybe you just have a different blood type. Does it have to be a blood disorder?
So what are we supposed to say? Differently bleeds?
Yeah,
Somebody who
bleed,
differently bleeds?
a variation in blood type.
Somebody told me, oh, you just bleed differently than other people. I'd be like, we're not focusing on the life-threatening issue, which is
You're right. Okay,
I
so
will die. Like, this actually is a concern.
like
Like,
let's
there's
call
some
it
things that we can lighten up and some things.
a bloodistation. Like
We
let's
just need to
like
call
make
it
it bloodistations. That sounds.
All right, well, I'll let you work on a strength-based way to
I'm
talk
trying
about
to find it.
um,
I'm gonna try.
the inability to clot. Or,
I mean, I feel like
I mean, inability, is that also negative?
Inability.
Should I just say, you know,
not
I bleed extra? Is that better?
you
Extra more bleeding.
you get more blood.
I give more blood.
You
I
get
don't
more blood.
get more blood.
I
I give more blood.
to whoever's trying to clean it up.
Do you know that when I was 14, I was having a.
By the way,
surgery?
I'd really like to not have any really mean comments at me after this.
Well, we only get mean comments.
That's not true.
Oh, lately, yeah.
Oh,
And in fact,
I don't wanna
I would
say
like
them.
to say,
You
I don't know if
say
you
it.
caught it. Commenter who commented and said we're too exuberant
It is exuberant.
on our talking about the Loma Prieta earthquake. So I don't know if you caught it, but I named our second to last podcast with the title that used the word exuberant on your behalf. So you're welcome. We do listen.
Thank you. We listen to your
We
feedback.
listen.
We care. I haven't listened to it at all, but she did. And
You
that's
should
what
listen
matters.
to my Jane Mansfield episode. It's super good.
I believe it.
And I titled it The Exuberant Life and Tragic Death of Jane Mansfield.
I see them. I see them. I have a hard time listening to myself again.
No, but you're not even on that one, so there you go.
Well, that's true. Wait. Yeah,
It's
that's
really
true.
good.
That's true. I was thinking the
It's really good.
exuberant.
Exuberant.
That's the
I don't
one
think
that-
there's anything wrong with being exuberant.
Okay, but did they
Now I'm feeling
define,
my
I
butt.
need to, I feel like that can be subjective as well.
Now I'm sweaty.
What does exuberant mean for you that is not okay? Like, who are you to define?
Also, I was
what we
telling my
can and
own
cannot
trauma
do?
story. I can be exuberant as I want
Yeah,
to.
well, and I don't understand what that means. What passionate, like impacted, tragic, traumatized? Get over
I think this
yourself.
person wanted
Sorry.
more
Fight me. Bring it on. I don't care.
objectivity and fact finding.
Wham.
That's not what this podcast is. Like, just go read Wikipedia.
Wikipedia has it. Fact finding is for what we do before we then talk about it and have fun doing so. You don't talk about this stuff in your free time. Get over yourself. Come on. Sorry. All right. We talk about it in our free time because it can be fun. If
Well,
you
it's
are
interesting. I'm
exuberant.
interested in this stuff.
That makes me
I pick topics
annoyed.
because I am personally interested.
Correct. Same. We don't
Other than Billy Whack Monster,
you
which was
do
fluff and filler. That was the only
okay,
time.
I get the whatever that other one was. I don't remember.
Stonehenge.
I guess Stonehenge. You get Billy Whack Monster. Don't
I
look at me
know,
like
but
that.
one's like an epic worldwide note.
Okay, we also had Hello Kitty, Goodbye Barney, and that was amazing. So
Yeah, but that was stuff we were both personally interested in.
right,
Yeah.
right. I was interested. I did not do a
You
great
didn't even know
job.
where Stonehenge was.
I didn't. It was
Connection to this topic.
literally not included in my research.
It's in the UK, just so.
I know.
Okay.
I later found that out.
All right, back to the public inquiry.
We're doing our best. We hope you enjoy it. And if you don't, that's okay. You can go elsewhere.
No, I want to find our tribe. I do.
But yeah, I mean, and that's fine.
And honestly, here's
I haven't read it, so it might have been a softer comment than I'm taking it as.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, well then never mind. Take this as harshly as you'd like.
People that I know, there's people that actually.
Wait, are they a Patreon?
No.
Okay.
I know that
pay
there's
$1 and I'll look you in the eye.
I know there's people that actually listen to this and enjoy it, but we never hear from you. Like honestly, once in a while, could you just throw us a bone?
No, that's very true. I mean,
the only vocal people are the haters.
And keep in mind, like, we're in the mental health counseling profession, which means we never hear anything unless it's a negative. Like in the you don't get the evaluations filled or like it's grievances, it's complaints, it's the problems, and on occasion
We're suffering from vicarious trauma as we speak.
right. Right. On occasion, we do get those like little, but it's like 1 to 10, honestly, is my ratio I'd have to throw out there. And this feels like 1 to 1,000 because I know it's easy to feel distance, like we're not real people, but we are. We're real people. We sit here, we try.
Especially AI. All right, back to the public inquiry.
AI is not this hilarious 97%.
Oh, I don't know. Just wait.
Oh man.
So the public inquiry.
So fluffy. I hate it.
Well, I'm doing another topic on AI coming up.
Good. I can't wait.
The public inquiry's final report describes the scale of what happened is horrifying, as I mentioned. And the most accurate estimate is that more than 3,000 deaths are attributable to infected blood products, and tissue. So more than 3,000 people dying because of this UK infected blood scandal.
Wow.
So the inquiry started in 2017. I didn't hear anything about this until literally
this moment.
Yeah, I mean, just a few days ago, it was released in the news.
In 2017? Wow.
No, yeah. So it's for 7 years. And you know, people knew about it since the 70s and 80s, probably.
Right.
So it's been called an appalling tragedy. And so the inquiry began in 2018.
Okay.
I mean, began working, like it was established in 2017. It took another year to get going. So the final report was just published May 20th, 2024, which is like, what's the date today?
What did you just say?
I think it's like 4 days ago.
What, May?
Yeah, May 20th.
That's us. Yeah, that was like good days ago.
4 days ago.
4
Yeah.
days ago. 5, 4? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it concludes that.
Good job being topical.
It concludes definitively that most infections could and should have been avoided, and that mistakes were clearly made. There was a failure to make patient safety paramount in decision-making and actions.
Okay.
So the picture overall is that people have been failed not once, but repeatedly by their doctors, by the NHS and other bodies responsible for safe treatment, and by the government. There's also a highlighting of lack of transparency, lack of openness, and that the truth has actually been intentionally hidden for decades,
Glitter scandal all over again.
all over
I'm over
again.
it. I'm over it.
And it also refers to
Is this exuberant enough for you?
the deliberate destruction of documents and just losing others.
No.
Like, I can't find it.
Oh, that
I
sounds
don't know where it
familiar.
went.
Very Trumpian.
All right, let's go through the failures.
I can't, that's what I was gonna say, like, I wanna know. Oh, one, because I haven't heard of this. Two, because I don't know. So go ahead. That is delicious. I will continue talking for a moment while you exuberantly eat that. That mint one is amazing.
Yumbo.
Just saying, that mint one is.
This is our local candy
It
company.
makes me drool.
Faux Candy.
Faux Candy.
You want to sponsor us?
Last time I went there was back like probably 15 years ago, and it was up on Division. I don't know if it's in the same place.
It was down here, but then it burned, so I don't know where that is now.
Oh yeah, they've moved.
All right, failures.
All right,
let's go through them.
All right, let's do it.
We got to call it out.
Let's do it.
Too little was done to
Too little,
stop
too late.
importing blood products from abroad. So there's a little US blaming in this section.
I mean,
So the US is being blamed for using more high-risk donors, such as prisoners and people with SUD disorders.
okay, I mean that.
That is not the word in this report, but I'm translating it.
Substance use disorders, yeah. That all fits because it wasn't until much later that extra protections around confidentiality for SUD folks and like protection and rights, because they actually have an extra like dual layer, even over mental health, which has protection. So yeah.
Well, this is back in the 70s and 80s also,
Yeah.
remember?
Right. So that's
So there's a little bit US blaming here, like the UK didn't stop importing our more high-risk blood products.
okay, like importing it to them.
Yeah.
So we're okay, so they're saying we're giving them bad blood.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we also have people who are donating and who have good blood.
Well, take it back to 70s and 80s. You gotta think of the cultural time.
Okay, I mean, is it all that? I mean, what is their number? Do they have numbers attached to this, or is it just a
Well, I don't
statement?
know how well they tracked like each donor back then.
Right, that's why I'm like,
Or if you're just stopping up and like injecting a tube and moving on.
right, so like what, yeah, I'm sorry.
You see these
What
scars on
ground?
me right here? I was not like a heroin addict, but when I was poor,
I have
back
thick
in the
skin.
early 90s, look at that good, that's a good vein right
Wow,
there.
yeah.
Pops. But when I was poor back in the early 90s, I used to donate plasma down here at the
Oh, yeah.
place on
Mhm.
second, third.
Yeah.
And I made money to be able to live.
Well,
And it was horrible. Like I felt horrible selling my bodily fluids.
well, so my
I didn't always get like useful things. Sometimes I went and got a bottle of tequila, to be honest, or went to Taco Bell, but it was good money.
well, yeah, so my husband every once in a while he gets a call because he has it's like R1 or R whatever blood type, where moms who their babies don't match their blood type, they have to have basically his blood type from plasma in order for their babies to not reject, or for them to not reject their babies. So it's like a really rare thing, but yeah, so like that saves babies. It's baby saving.
Well, I was just saving my own biscuits.
Well, it helped people.
Maybe.
I mean, well, they're not like taking it in this isn't for vampires. That's not that episode.
Well, who knows where it went? I don't know.
I mean,
I mean,
you're making me like really question it.
Well, at
Did
the
you take it
time,
somewhere?
no, I mean, at the time, honestly, I was like 20 years old or
Right.
whatever.
You weren't invested in the
I
outcome.
wasn't. I was just interested in my own pocketbook.
Right. Which doesn't mean it
And
didn't
now
go
I'm
somewhere.
scarred. Like that's how much I did it. Like I'm actually scarred.
It didn't like
That was
go
not on the
somewhere
informed
bad
consent
though.
sheet. They didn't say you're gonna be scarred
For life.
for life.
From one plasma or from multiple plasmas?
Multiples. I did the maximum. You could go like 4 times a month.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a lot.
Yeah. $25 a pop in like 1990? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So in the UK, blood donations were accepted from high-risk groups until 1986, and they determined prisoners to be high-risk groups.
Okay. Just generically. So
Generically, yeah.
okay.
So blood products were not heat treated to eliminate HIV until the end of 1985, even though the risks and were known since 1982.
Okay.
So that's 3 years. They
Mhm.
knew there was risks of HIV being in the blood and nothing was done about it.
2 years.
3 years.
3 years. Wow. Sorry.
Nothing was done about it.
3 years. Like
So
nothing, nobody said anything.
no.
Like not one person went,
No.
this doesn't feel right.
In
Where?
1982, it was known that there was a risk of HIV being in these blood products or in the blood, and nothing was heat treated, which was apparently a technology they knew about until 3 years
You mean
later.
like boiling water? Yeah, kind of basic, right? Like boil out the bacteria.
I
Like
guess
at
that
least
worked,
at
and they
least
knew
try
about
it.
it.
I don't know. I mean, so okay, that's really bothersome because they could have done something they didn't.
Yeah.
But it also shows how socially
Let's repeat, 380 children
380 children
infected with HIV.
and it really shows how culturally based our ethical values are and with the times because
Hundo, which if we have time for my
I'm gonna wait, yeah.
bonus topic, directly
see.
touches on that.
I like hundo.
So there was another failure. There was too little testing to reduce the risk of hepatitis from the 1970s on. So no testing. Like, do you have Hep C? Deliberate destruction of documents or loss of others, I mentioned that. Failure to tell people about the risks of treatment. So no informed consent. Nobody was being told,
Right.
hey, I'm going to give you this clotting factor IV, but here's some risks.
Well, our prescriber
And
now,
I also did not receive that. So
like the DEA requires now that you give like the education and you go over risks and benefits. It's required by the DEA.
right. So back when I got my clotting factor, nobody ever told me there was no like, hey, you could possibly get HIV. Nobody ever told me that.
And if people aren't telling you that now, call them on it. Say not okay.
Well, people don't know what they don't know, you know. And
But
I think
we're
there's
telling
a
them that.
trust.
We're telling them that.
There's a trust in institutions, you know, to be like, oh, they have my best interest.
Just wait until you work in one.
Trust no one, question everything.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll put that on a shirt.
Why haven't we?
I don't know.
I kind of want a hoodie
We
too.
need to, yeah.
I like a good hoodie.
So there was no informed consent. And people were not told about alternatives to treatment, like, hey, you could get this
Options.
or this.
And you can go somewhere else. Like here's what the choice.
There was also an attitude of denial towards the risks of treatment. So
right, because they feel like
those
they're
in
doing the best.
government and doctors and everybody were
Right.
like denying it.
Well, because they feel like they have a handle on it and they like don't want a change to the norm DSM 5. Right.
And then, you know, knowledge evolves, right?
And
Regimes stayed the
sometimes
same.
and sometimes it then reverts back.
Well,
Again,
evolution is not directional.
it's not linear, right?
It's just a process of change and adaptation.
Yes.
So knowledge evolved, but there was no change in the regime. Like practices remain the same, even though knowledge changed. And treating children unnecessarily. So these treatments were sometimes completely unnecessary for children.
Whoa, why did they do it?
I don't know. You're looking it up.
And now I'm looking up I forgot about the positive terms. A chocolate.
False reassurance of the public and patients. So I can reinterpret that and say lying to the public and patients.
Right.
Failure to tell people they were actually being experimented on and they were part of research. Oh,
Well,
what?
that sounds typical.
That sounds bad and typical.
Yeah, that happens in the US.
And failure, once known by the medical professionals, failure to tell people they're infected. So the medical professionals actually became aware they're infected and didn't tell people so that people couldn't do
So
anything to
that's
control
called
their illness.
negligence,
And also prevent like passing it on to partners.
liability.
Giving infusions that were not clinically indicated. So we're just doing it.
It's
We're
not
just
medical necessity. They do
doing
not meet
it.
medical
They do
necessity.
not.
Are you does the service fix it? Is it like made for that? Is that the best option? Is it the most effective? Is it actually working?
Is it working? Failure of record keeping to track each unit of blood. So like, where's the blood going? Who's getting in the blood?
Like, yeah, like you were saying, you didn't know.
Failure to tell people to get tested for HIV, like just a suggestion,
Right.
like, hey, maybe you should get tested.
Right, just
Because I would
idea.
admit, I think that something's wrong.
Right, well, I know that Cody gets a, like, after, so if the transfusion happens, he gets a notification of specifically who that donor, like, where that went, which I thought was pretty cool, actually, like, to see that, but that makes sense that has evolved over time.
Yeah. Failing to establish a public inquiry for almost 30 years.
Stop it.
So the inquiry wasn't started until 2017 and really officially not till 2018.
I mean, that's how long it takes me to, like, officially start something.
So now that the public inquiry is done and everything has been like released, so there are recommendations, and one is that people get financial compensation, which I think is important.
Mm-hmm.
There's the recommendation that people should receive an official apology
Mm-hmm.
to everybody
Right.
affected. That psychological assessment and treatment be provided.
Mm-hmm.
And so the compensation is supposed to start in the next 90 days
From the May date.
from the government. Yes, from that May 20th, 4 days ago. And
Okay.
so it's it's varied, the compensation varies. So people infected with HIV can be expected to receive a compensation of between 2.2 and 2.6 million pounds. And then there are lesser payments for those with a chronic hep C infection.
Mm-hmm.
But your life has changed. And life, is so valuable. Like every day I wake up and have the opportunity to have an amazing day is like a fucking gift, and I don't take it for granted. And just going into the doctor and trusting them and having your whole life change in a moment, like, yeah, give them a couple million pounds. How many is that in dollars? What's 2.6 million pounds in dollars?
Okay, Google, what's 2.6 million pounds in dollars? 3,312,907.
Okay. I mean, it's something. I mean, with inflation, it's not great, but if you're smart with your money, you could probably live with the rest of your life comfortably.
Make it happen.
Maybe
If somebody wants to give me
invest a little.
$300, I'll do it.
Invest a little.
I'll do it.
All right, ready for the bonus topic? Well, first, final thoughts on the UK infected blood scandal.
Okay, so I feel like it's still vague to me. Like I understand the generalities, but this is probably part of the problem is that they aren't being specific. Like, who is at fault? Because it's like,
Well, it's everybody.
I know, but that's too broad. That's too broad for me because we need to be able to have somebody take accountability. When they're like everybody, then nobody takes accountability. So who could have known, should have known, and didn't do something?
Well, it's so
Those
many
parties.
people.
I know, but it's like it's concentration camps and later having to bring in the like war criminals in, and trying them later, and it may feel like it's really far away from the initial thing, but they were there, they partook, or they chose not to do otherwise. Like somebody needs to be held accountable for people
You want
to,
names.
yeah, like to have some, like the people who were affected by this deserve to have some accountability.
Well, to be honest, I didn't read word for word the public inquiry report, so maybe names are named.
I mean, I want names and
You can Google it. Google it, peeps. It's
I need
online.
a sincere apology to me and to everybody else.
Well, that's part of the recommendation is an apology.
I actually don't need it personally, but I feel it should happen.
And hopefully, that's coming in the days. All right, bonus topic. Bonus disturbing.
Wait, so malady,
deeply disturbing topic.
malady would be a word I'd be okay with. If you found a way to fit
A
that.
malady.
Some of these are really bad.
Like I feel like I would
chaos,
name,
havoc, hell.
I would name it my daughter Melody, to be honest.
Okay. So if it was a,
and be fine with it.
what about like a blood snake pit? That's synonyms. A blood anarchy, a blood free for all, a blood muddle.
Muddles.
I like that. A blood muddle. That's great.
I mean, if who wants to say I have a blood muddle?
I mean, me now, but misorder. Ooh, I have a misorder. Can I get my burger back? Tumble, a muss, a disarray. And none of this fits.
None of it fits.
A bollocks. I mean, it is from the UK, so like bollocks. Kind of fits.
I don't think anyone wants to say blood bollocks.
I mean, what's another word for blood? Hemoglobin? Hemoglobin, right?
Well, literally hemophilia.
I know, but hemoglobin. So it could be a hemoglobin ailment, malady.
I think
malaise.
We're trying too hard here.
It's gone too far.
Do you want the bonus topic?
I so hope so, yes.
All right. So this is something that I've been aware of for quite some time, and I'm excited to actually talk about it because I wanted to for a while. So starting in 1977, so we're talking US now. We're coming back from the UK to where we live. So starting in 1977, this is like the very early days of the AIDS epidemic. So gay men were immediately banned from donating blood. There was a whole lack of understanding of like what AIDS was, and because it was showing up more in the gay community, like it was called a gay disease, like right away. Like gay people were targeted, stigmatized, discriminated against. I mean, there was talk of quarantining gay people, like putting them in like camps.
Well, and they
like,
were
this
already being discriminated against at that time too.
But this was like real. Like I remember when this proposition was going around to like gather up gay people and put them in a freaking quarantine. Like it was terrifying. So gay men, like right off the bat, when AIDS first started showing up, were banned from donating blood. And then in 1985, a lifetime ban was instituted on blood donation for men who had sex with men. So this is the MSM acronym that's used out there. A lifetime ban starting in 1985.
Confusing to me because there are literally tests, right?
Well, not at that time.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking.
But it's still you spoke about decisions are made on cultural norms.
Yes.
So what's the cultural norm at that time?
I can't break this one. I have to eat it all. I'm sorry.
Eat it all.
Cultural norm of what? Sorry, back ahead.
About being gay at that time. Like it was pathologized.
Yeah, it was pathologized as being wrong, immoral.
Right.
Yeah.
So part of the reasoning behind these decisions is the cultural norms of that time. So in 1985, all gay and bisexual men were lifetime banned from donating blood. So I mean, I can just imagine like even seeing like a blood donation campaign. That is going to be triggering.
Right. Well, and there are times when they are short and they need donors, like it's urgent.
Yeah, so I've talked to a lot of people who really were upset after the Globe shooting and wanted to contribute and give blood to the community.
Mhm.
And to be told like, no, your
Right.
blood is dirty, like that's very upsetting for
That's
people.
very Harry Potter Muggle shite.
Well, fits with what we know
UK.
about, you know, him.
Mm-hmm.
Who she who shall not be
She who
named.
shall not be named.
So also included in the ban were women who had sex with men who had sex with men. So this
Which is
ban
bisexual.
was well, the men would be bisexual. We don't know about the women.
Oh, I see. So like, gotcha.
Women could be, who knows.
Right.
The ban was intended to protect the blood supply from HIV, but it was super discriminatory and new information and science came forward, knowledge evolved, and then this became outdated, but still didn't change. So 20 years later, the restriction did loosen and said those who had abstained from sex for 1 year, like who wants to do that, could donate.
Well, and how are
Who
they
can even
tracking
physically
that? I
do
mean,
that?
what's this word like on your honor?
In 2020, the deferral period, 2020, so that's just 4 years ago, was shortened to 90 days. So we're still in this like weird place. And so this still didn't make any sense based on science or on equitability.
Right. Like what is the science? What is it?
So for example, a married monogamous gay couple would have to be celibate for 3 months to donate. That makes no freaking sense.
That's stupid.
And
Pointless. Waste of time.
so the rules, you know, partially prevented gay and bisexual men from donating blood,
Mhm.
but they didn't have the same barriers to other people engaging in supposedly high risk behaviors, anal sex, or people who had multiple partners.
Mhm.
I shouldn't have said supposedly high risk. Yes, it is more high risk. But specifying the sexual orientation of the person rather than a behavior was discriminatory and not evidence-based.
Right.
So just last year, like I'm constantly surprised
Me
by
too.
how
Gosh.
recently we're figuring shit out. Like renaming of the road down there from that horrible guy that killed
He
900
must also
horses.
not be
That
named.
just happened like a
Well,
year ago.
and what Stevens Pass, like where it's like that's still there. That's still there. And like he was like, why?
Will you do a topic on him? Because I don't know anything about that, honestly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Will
So
you remind me if I forget?
I'll try.
I'll put it in my phone because I'll forget. I've had mine.
So just last year, May 2023, the FDA, Federal Drug Administration, made updated guidelines to make blood donations more inclusive. So on August 7th, 2023, the American Red Cross implemented the FDA's updated guidance. And it is that the assessment for all blood donors will be the same regardless of gender or sexual orientation.
So without discrimination.
So people be doing what they do, they're going to be judged the same. There are still some areas that need to be ironed out that are still problematic. For example, those that are taking PrEP are required to go a waiting period before donating, but it is progress towards dismantling this long-standing horrible barrier to gay men being able to give back to their community. Bonus
So
topic. There you go. Related.
yeah, I mean on one hand they're saying that like we gave these medical infusion, but they're basically targeting communities, which is what happened, and said it's your fault that this happened. And you can't fix it. And we're going to continue to blame you.
Well, there's definitely some blame and shame going on for sure. I mean, I'm really shocked that it was kept under the rug in the UK for so long. you know, but
I mean,
not surprised. I guess shocked, but not
culturally,
surprised.
yeah, culturally, especially at that time, yeah, same. But I think the parallels to the US are pretty similar, I would guess. I don't know,
Well,
honestly.
I mean, if I had contracted HIV from, I got at least one blood product during this higher risk time. Maybe there's more like me. I don't know. Would anybody raise a fuss? Who knows? They may have just buried me and walked away because I was honestly a pain in the ass at that time.
Who would be burying you out of curiosity?
Oh, well, my family, hopefully.
Or they take the honor. So. But you said because you're a pain in the ass. Why would I mean,
Well, they'd still bury me.
well, that's nice.
What are they gonna leave me
I
in
mean,
my room where I
the
died?
first part sounded bad to begin with, so I just
Nobody
assumed.
wants a stinky body just in the house.
Ah, that's why you have a coffin out in the garage.
It's a fake coffin.
It's not a fake coffin. It's a
No,
real
it is a
coffin.
fake
There just
coffin.
isn't a body
It's a
in it.
stage coffin.
What's the difference between a stage coffin and a real coffin?
One
A
is
body?
made just for like a drama group, and one is actually
Okay, but
like you're burying
aren't they
people in
the
it.
same thing? Because that thing is real.
I mean,
It
honestly,
is not like fake.
you don't need any type of coffin to bury somebody.
I mean, now you're just on a different tangent, which is no, you don't. You just need some dirt and a shovel. But you could very well bury. That's like a full size coffin. You could put a decent sized human in there.
I can fit in there.
We both fit in there.
We're both fat in there.
It's true. We did. We
All right.
did photos.
Until next time, what do you got to say?
Oh gosh. Okay. Gosh. Okay. Whew, wine. All right. I'm gonna say until next time. I was in the middle of looking about history of blood transfusions in the US. Until next time, ask your providers questions and tell them what you want for your care. It is just as much an interview for you as it is for them to see if it's a good fit.
Yeah, I'm gonna just piggyback on that and say if there's anything you feel weird about, get a second opinion or a third.
You can have as many as you want, and you can fire the heck out of anybody you want anytime. I
Just
know
walk out
you're not forced to take medications. Like you can choose.
and ask questions. Like I'm always about like, okay, what are we doing now? What's happening next?
Yeah, if they just say something and your mind goes, don't just assume they know what they're saying or doing. They have routines, they have cookie cutter approaches, they individualized care is the right way to go. So individualize it by using your voice and advocate for yourself.
And RIP Kurt Cobain.